Okay, this video is going to be an intake valve cleaning for the N54. I'm going to assume most of you have standard tools, metric sockets. Some of the unique things you're going to need this is just a gun cleaning kit I got from Amazon. You see they're brass, so it doesn't damage the valves. It's pretty cheap. I'm going to guess with BMWs, most of you have a Torx socket. I'm actually missing a Torx set. I'm actually missing one. Hopefully it's not one I need. And 22 millimeter half-inch socket to move the crank bolt. I'm going to use that method, even though I know there's other one. Okay, step one, you're going to put your car up on jacks or jack it up, whichever you prefer. You're going to need to get underneath and take off the front plastic panel, obviously with those bolts right there. And what you're going to try to get to is a Torx screw that holds part of the radiator fan down. So we're going to do that, and I'll show you after I take this cover off. Continuing with step one, you're going to get underneath just to get your orientation. I'm lazy, I don't take my whole pan off, just the front few screws, let it drop down. And right here, you're going to be able to see a T25 Torx. You're going to take that off, let this drop down. Don't put your pan back up yet because you're going to have to connect that at this last step once you get your valve cleaning done. So that bolt right there is the first one you're going to want to take off. Alright, I prefer to work with my car off the jack stands for the actual valve cleaning. So step two, I'm going to pull your car wherever you want to, go to the trunk, and you're going to remove the negative terminal. It's a 10 millimeter socket right there, as you can see. Going to disconnect the battery, make sure there's no. Alright, step three, I'm pretty sure most of you are going to be familiar with. We're going to remove air cleaner cover, the big plastic cover here. You can all see the standard bolts. Pull out your little clips and remove your engine cover. That's step three. I'm not going to really explain it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Step four is going to be multi-step. You're going to use your T20 Torx again. Remove the ductwork right here. You can see there's a screw there. Another one there. You're going to pull it out. This is going to allow you to remove this portion right here, the duct. We're going to remove the brake booster line, squeeze it here. If you see, I've already broke half of it. This has always been tricky for me. Get this part off. We're going to tuck it away. And then everyone might have a different DCI depending on what it is. I'm just going to remove both of them with my single screw down there. So that's going to be the next step here. I'm probably going to lose track of these steps, so I'm just going to start saying next step. So you can see after now we've removed the engine cover, brake boost line, and the intakes. We're going to try to work on getting the radiator fan out. This is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to look around. There's only one Torx socket, Torx screw. You can see right there. I'm not sure the size. I think it's a T25 or the next size up. We're going to remove that one, and then far down, you're going to see there's two clips on each side. When you slide it up, to make sure not to break them, I already broke them on one side. You can see here, it's the guide where it goes down into when you're pulling it out. Right? Jesus, sucks. Right there's the guide. So when you slide up, it's going to be on both sides. So to remove it, you're going to pull off this connector right here, and then slide out the guides, lead to the reservoir. Pull this out, disconnect this connector, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, just to show after we take out, once again, the Torx to T25 over here, your guides, my guide's broken over here. It seriously should just be as simple as lifting it straight out. Obviously make sure you don't get these wires in the way. Alright, that's easy fan removal. Also, you could use that step two. That's why step one, you had to remove that Torx socket on the bottom, and you had to remove it. And so there you have access. Alright, these next few steps are going to vary. I have a meth, so it might look a little different than yours. We're just going to start with these quick snap disconnects. Everyone's familiar with them. Twist counterclockwise, they come off. The other one back here, twist counterclockwise. If you haven't done this before, they're probably going to be pretty tight. Well, I'm not going to show you how to do all this, but I'll twist them, take them off. What we have to do next is remove this entire charge pipe up to the throttle body. So step by step. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just keep removing your connectors until you can get directly to this throttle body, which we're going to have to take off. Just a warning, as you're moving your charge pipe around, there's going to be 3 connectors that we're probably going to take care of before we start moving things around. You see here on the back of the charge pipe, way down here, what you're going to do is get a little screwdriver under the back end of it, lift up the latchet, and then pull out the connector. Obviously be careful. Second one is going to be similar to your brake booster. You can see there, it's kind of hard to see, it's around the back of the throttle body. You're going to squeeze it and pull it out. If you can see right here, my hands are in the way. You're going to squeeze it right here on the back of the throttle body, right above the intake manifold nipple that everyone seems to break. There it is. So you're going to squeeze that, pull it straight back. Like I said, if you haven't done this before, it might be a little tighter than usual. And the third one, once again, it's the same as the connector on a charge pipe. It's going to be, get a screwdriver underneath here, pull it out. So let's take care of those 3 first, because while you're moving your charge pipe, you definitely want to make sure not to break any of these connectors. So if you want to do these steps before taking off your charge pipe. Okay, now we got those 3 sensors disconnected. We're going to need to make some room for when we pull out the intake manifold. So there's a power box underneath. We're going to need to make some room with these wires. There's a little snap right here we're going to pull out, which leads to multiple connectors. Going to just pull these out nice and standard, nice and easy, pull straight out. And then along the fuel rail, you're going to see there's little clip outs. Just pull all these hoses out. It's going to give yourself some room. And then here, the coolant temp sensor on front. It's just an easy pull. Pull it out. Like I said, this might not be essential, but I like to make sure I'm not pulling on any wires when I pull out the throttle body. My intake manifold, excuse me. And okay, so that's the next step. After this, we're going to take off the throttle body. There's going to be 4 bolts. The front 2 are pretty easy to see. 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and then there's 2 underneath. You're just gonna have to feel for them. I'll see if I can get it on video. Not sure if that's coming up or not. You're gonna see 4 bolts there. So take those out. Just double check, make sure you have all your connectors just pulled out. Oh, I missed one actually underneath here. You guys see one right here? If you follow this all the way down, there's a connector underneath. It's just going to be another squeeze connector. You're going to squeeze and pull it out, and then you can take off your throttle body. Alright, so if you had a hard time, once you got the throttle body, I had a hard time getting this connector off without prior to the throttle body taking it off. So I took off the throttle body bolts, and I put it down here, and you just squeeze it, pull it off. It gives you a little bit more room to maneuver with. Remove your throttle body. It's a good time to clean it if you haven't. Next thing we're going to do is get 11 millimeter and remove the 6 intake manifold. 5 are going to be nuts, 1's going to be a bolt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait, my fault, 7. 6 nuts and 1 bolt. Like I said, they're going to be 11 millimeter. We're going to pop those off, and then we're going to start moving our intake manifold. Now, here's the electrical box I was talking about where all the connectors run through. I have a hell of a time getting this off. According to the Bentley, it's supposed to slide down. If you can see, you have these connectors right here with raised ridges. I've tried PB blasting them, letting it sit for an hour, done everything. Every time I do this, I can't get this junction box to pull and slide down. Like I say, you're supposed to just be able to pull it and slide down. So I'm going to show you an alternate method, or you can call it a ghetto method. It's the only other way I know how. We're going to, once we start pulling out the intake manifold, we're going to disconnect some connectors behind this junction box, and it's going to give us some room to move. We're not going to be able to pull out the intake manifold completely. Only way we could do that is if we get this junction box to slide down. So let's just take the 7 connectors off the intake manifold and we'll go from there. Okay, taking off the bolts and nuts for the intake manifold. Also, we want to release the brake booster from underneath the intake manifold. You're going to look, you're going to see right there is the connector where the brake boost was, brake boost line. Once again, it's just another, they love this squeeze things. Squeeze it so it was sitting down there like that. Reach underneath, squeeze it, pull it out. Obviously, excuse me, you can see why you want to pull this out. It'll also be in the way when you pull off the intake manifold. Like I said, there's other ways around it. I just like to be safe, make sure I pull nothing loose. And so now we're going to start pulling off the intake manifold. I need both hands, so I'll start it up when I pull it off. Oh, one more thing. Since we're doing it the method I am, there's a connector right here. You can see it just pushes down. We're going to remove that. It's going to give us some room when we start pulling off the intake manifold. Like I say, if you guys get lucky and are able to get this electrical box off, it's going to save you a couple. Alright, as you can see here, I was able to move the manifold away. If you want to make some more room down here, you're going to see what connectors are pulling on the junction box, the electrical box. You can just go and start disconnecting some of them. Since I'm not going to be doing, I've already just done this cleaning, so I'm just doing this video to show. I'm not going to pull all these connectors off, but like I said, when you tug a little bit, you'll see what connectors need to be pulled away to give yourself some more room on the intake manifold. So we're going to look down in here. Now the big step is to find out which valves are open and which ones are closed. And so we can start off with, this is going to be tricky to try to show on this video. Let me see here. If you can see down there. Alright, let me start this back up again. I'm going to try to get a better light. Okay, now if we try to get into here, you're going to be able to see the valves. You're going to be able to see which ones are shut. You see there, that one is shut. Obviously both of them are. The angle amount, I'm just going to show you that one. Now if we move to the next bank, you're going to see how wide open this one is. If you can see that in there. Like I said, mine are pretty dirty. I haven't had a chance to really clean them the proper way. So if you see, those are closed. Those are open, I'm sorry about that. And what you're going to do is you're just going to go through each one, find which ones are open, which ones are closed. Make sure you stuff something in there when you start cleaning them so no debris falls into it. So what we're going to do down here, here's your crank. There's the bolt. It's a 22 millimeter. We're going to grab our 22 millimeter socket that we made sure to have previously and pop it on there. And when you do this, you're going to make sure to always turn it counterclockwise. Clockwise. So when we want to close the valves, you're going to notice, since I decided not to take the spark plugs out, there's going to be some compression when you turn it. You're going to pull just small rotations down. That's just to show you how to get the valves to move. Like I say, you're going to feel some different compression in there. Sometimes it's going to seem harder, sometimes it's going to seem lighter. My method for cleaning, I actually have a media blaster. I wasn't a fan of it. Too much of a mess, even though I tried making a seal. So what I've moved to is using some throttle body cleaner, letting it soak in on the valves. You know, fill it up, it will sit down there, and let it sit for about 20 minutes. And then get your gun brush with your extension. Obviously I haven't put it on. Get down in there and just start working with it. Get a lot of rags. It's going to pull out a lot of carbon, a lot of buildup. And then I have my vacuum with a made extension to get down in there and suck it up while I'm cleaning. Help it out a little bit. I know you're not supposed to suck up throttle body cleaner, fire hazard, etc. Just keep an eye on it. So like I said, I'm not going to go through each one of these to show you. You can figure out your method, trial. Just make sure you get out as much as you can. The carbon will build up. You just don't want your O2 sensors to get fouled if you leave too much in there. So like I say, just go through each one. Make sure you plug up each of the ports, the ones you're not using. You don't want anything to fall into an open valve that's not done. So after you finish up one, plug it up, come into here. There's going to be a couple that are going to be closed, so make sure after you do the first one, not just to start turning it, to find the open, the closed and open valves and start working on those to save yourself some hassle. And once you clean it all out, gonna button everything back up. I don't really have the torque specs right now at the top of my head. I could look them up, but you know, none of the stuff on the intake manifold, none of the bolts or screws are going to be too many foot-pounds. I think probably 10 to 20 foot-pounds. Same with the throttle body. Put everything back together. Make sure you don't miss any connections. You don't want to have to come back in here and, you know, remove everything again. But overall, that's how you're going to do a valve cleaning. Like I say, the video, you know, telling me how to do the valve cleaning. That's going to be a trial and error method. It's not that difficult. I mean, like I said, find a good cleaner, get it down in there, get your gun brush, and just start cleaning. It probably takes you about 2 hours to do all these. You know, take your time, making sure you're doing it right, so you don't have to do it again in 10,000 miles. So that's how you do valve cleaning.